This is some interesting video to take a look at. This is Megyn Kelly and Glenn Greenwald going back and forth about the Iran-Israel flare-up. So at the beginning of this, you see Greenwald talk about how it is not in the interest of the United States to fund Israel's wars, and Megyn Kelly gives some pushback despite her later insistence that she's not one of the pro-war conservatives. She's anti-war, but she thinks we need to back Israel in their war with Iran, even if it means World War III. This is kind of long, but we'll stop and start as we go. This is entertaining.
Israel is a nuclear power. They have an arsenal of nuclear weapons. They have one of the most sophisticated militaries in the world. They have a thriving economy. They have the Middle East, Silicon Valley. Why can't Israel take care of itself? Why can't Israel pay for its own wars? I think that's a big question. And when we tie ourselves to Israel, it does harm American interests in all sorts of ways. The potential to be dragged into another Middle East war is obviously significant, but also the anger and hatred toward Israel gets directed at the United States as well.
All right, but let me ask you about that one. I get that, and I cede that point, but I also feel like, Glenn, they hate us. They hate, like the Iranian, not the Iranian people, but like the leaders over in Iran.
I know they're friends, so maybe she feels like, she has a little bit of license, right? It doesn't necessarily occur to her that she's talking to Glenn Greenwald, who she must understand knows this issue on a much more sophisticated level than she does. And like I said, they're kind of pals, right? They didn't come away with this from this on bad terms. But the eye roll, Glenn, please. They hate it. Like, really? You feel good about presenting your argument in that way? That sounds like, what does that sound like?
You're such a fantastic moron.
Yeah.
Well, remember, she's coming out of the conservative media ecosystem.
Yeah.
I think very often this is, I don't know, things come in waves in this business, like certain themes seem to run through certain months. You often get asked, if you're running a left channel that is very anti-liberal, why you don't go after the Republicans. My answer has tended to be, yes, like what we got into with Taibbi last week, that it's pretty well covered by others, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lack of reporting on that. Like, what would we contribute to that? It's also that it just doesn't come up all that much. But hey, because of the circles that we're in, like that's right. Just not who we're usually having to shut down in our lives. Now,
well, like a great example of this would be like in the last segment, we singled out Ro Khanna for voting to condemn From the River to the Sea. There were 215 GOPers who we could have reamed for the same thing. And it's not that they don't deserve to be reamed, but is it really interesting to listen to two leftist Jews ream a Republican for voting that way? No, Ro Khanna is the most, I won't say he's accountable to us because he's not, but he is the most within our range of potential influence, right? So it makes most sense for us to do our part in singling him out. Yes, we know the Republicans are going to vote to condemn that. Yes, that is worthy of condemnation, but it's not interesting to us, and I don't think it'd be interesting to the audience to hear us go on about that.
It's not, it wouldn't be interesting to go on about it. I think it's worth noting, though, that so many people in this sector of the left are so embittered by what they experienced in the Bernie campaign and just with trying to reform the Democratic Party, that there is a tendency to maybe overestimate the number of Republicans who are on their side, because occasionally, because occasionally Rand Paul makes a good speech, right, or because Jim Jordan is looking into censorship. That doesn't mean they're just pro-life lefties. Okay, like there's a lot of underlying worldview that places them firmly on the right that you would not like. If you even look at my video, there's stuff I didn't include because I didn't want to make it a 20-minute video. But one guy actually started talking to one of the MAGA people about what Donald Trump has done to contractors, and they didn't want to hear that. And
Wow.
I actually said, I was like, yo, man, long before he was in politics, I said, you're from New York? You say, yeah. It was the guy about the hot sauce guy. And he said, yeah, I'm from New York. I said, yo, man, you never heard about Donald Trump when you were growing up, that he stiffs all the contractors? I grew up in a neighborhood with a lot of GCs, a lot of general contractors. Right. It was well known, never take a job from Donald Trump. So, there's a temptation, because you'll go to the MAGA people and they don't start ringing a cowbell in your face to say, yeah, maybe we can get along. And yeah, you can get along easier than with the cowbell people. But don't forget, there's a reason you're not with them. Like, why wouldn't you just be with them? They're much more likable. I'll grant you that. Right? So why would you just not go there? Well, as soon as you start getting into things like this, as soon as you start listening to Megyn Kelly, so why would she say something like that? Because she's a fucking conservative. Right. She's a conservative. That's why she's a conservative. She's coming out of the conservative media ecosystem. Unlike some people, I don't think she's just playing it for the cameras. I think that's who she is. That's how she thinks.
One of the other good quotes from our friend Nick Cruz: Zionism is Karenism. That's what this is. This Zionism is Karenism. So let's let this go, because she really shows that very shortly.
They're gonna hate us less if we don't back Israel. I don't buy it. Hell no. They hate us because
why don't you buy it?
Right.
Why don't you buy it? Why? What about that does not make sense? Hold on, let me play this whole thing.
They hate like the Iranian, not the Iranian people, but like the leaders over in Iran. They're gonna hate us less if we don't back Israel. I don't buy it. Hell.
Why? What's not to buy?
Well, and Glenn
you mean if we were less aggressive in backing their mortal enemy, they would hate us less? Yeah, of course they'd hate us less. Of course they'd hate us less.
If we stopped interfering in their region.
Yeah.
Do you? And Glenn makes this point. There are lots of countries with bikinis.
Yeah.
Do you see Iran getting upset about every country where women don't wear a burqa?
Yeah. Well, she goes there and he makes, as you say, that exact point. So we'll let this go a little bit.
Oh, no. They hate us because of our principles, because of our Constitution, because of the way we live, because women walk around in tank tops. We could go down the list, but it's not going to go away if we stop supporting Israel.
Megyn, this was the debate about 9/11. Like, why did they hate us? Why did they attack us? And the neocon narrative was, they hate us for our freedoms. And bin Laden repeatedly said, there was that letter that recirculated that was banned from TikTok. We are angry at America because they are constantly insinuating themselves into our region. They imposed a sanctions regime on Iraq that killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqi children. They put troops on Saudi soil. The reason Iran hates us, and I'm not justifying it at all, but I think it's very important to have an open eyes about your own country, is that in 1954, we overthrew their democratically elected government, the CIA did, and we imposed on them for the next 25 years one of the most savage and brutal dictatorships in the world, the Shah of Iran. And so when Iran had its revolution and finally deposed their dictator, the Shah of Iran, of course they knew the United States was responsible for his imposition on them for all those decades. And so they had a lot of animosity toward the United States. There are all kinds of countries in the world.
Yeah, but I think you're overlooking, Glenn, tank tops. Tank tops. I mean, that would be my retort to that. While we're paused here, I agree with this chat 100%. This is from Sandy M. This is so good. Fruits of Glenn's long-term project of engaging across the usual tribal boundaries. Yes, I agree. Like, the fact that he is a mensch and he's easy to talk to, because look, I love Norm. Norm wouldn't have gotten his foot in the door here, because Norm, as soon as she gave him that tank top line, what would he go?
You're such a fantastic moron.
And that'd have been the end of it. So, look, everybody's got their style. Everybody's got their strengths. Glenn's strength is that he's a nice guy and that he's willing to, engage with people who he disagrees with on a number of issues. That's how you befriend Megyn Kelly. That's how you get your foot in the door here. And now you can give a history lesson to the fucking morons who maybe before you went on that monologue thought, Megyn Kelly's right. They hate us for tank tops. Right.
And this also, I think, is part of why, particularly if you don't have patience for some of the identitarian stuff, you might find yourself thinking, I kind of like Megyn Kelly, because you don't usually see them debating a Glenn Greenwald. you'll usually see them reacting to Joy Reid.
Hey,
and
look,
next to Joy Reid, she looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Next to Glenn Greenwald, you see who she actually is ideologically.
When she ripped George Stephanopoulos a new one for pressuring, I forget, who was it, Nancy Mace? He said, how could you back Trump when you've been raped? And she tore into him over the fact that he worked in the Clinton war room. Like, yeah, she's great. Like, she's skilled. She's not she's not a stupid woman. But this is a very sheltered Western chauvinist point of view that she is parroting without thinking about it and without knowing what the hell she's talking about. And he is just taking her to school over it, point by point.
Korea and Japan and Brazil and
that
Norway
going forever.
that have all
then
the
they
same
took all of our
freedoms as we
hostages.
do.
Yeah, but Glenn, I mean, you're looking at a country, Israel. Israel has a sense of due process and fairness.
Is that right?
And Iran is hanging people from cranes.
They literally have children in prison.
They literally
have children in prison for throwing rocks at tanks.
They're an occupying power. You know what an occupation is? They're claiming land for themselves and throwing children in jail for throwing rocks at tanks. They're beating the shit out of religious Jews who are against their occupation. They're a beacon of due process and democracy in action. Just unbelievable.
Iran is stoning women to death for not wearing the damn hijab. How the hell are we going to have a
Israel's opening fire on a crowd of starving people coming to get food. Like, what are you talking about? I mean, to make this point ever would be ludicrous. To make this point now? Like, do you not read the news? Like, are you not aware of what's going on in the world?
Well, you don't need to be naive about some of what happens in the Islamic world to have the exact same views on the Middle East. That's their country. That is their country. This is a question of whether they would have this hostility towards us,
right,
if we did not interfere in the region. It's not. They always want to deflect to a litigation of identity issues, treatment of women. Now, I'm not saying that's not important, but it's not our country. And as Glenn also points out, we're allies with Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
What are they having a big suffragette party in Saudi Arabia?
And when many of these countries, Iran one of them, have made attempts to liberalize, what have we done? We've intervened on behalf of the Islamic fundamentalists to keep them where they are.
Right.
Yeah. Or where they were, not even where they are. They were wearing bell-bottoms in Iran in the 70s.
Right.
Well, they had the tank tops. They wore tank tops in Iran.
Right. It's adding insult to injury. No, those countries were going towards socialism.
Yes.
That's why we installed these theocratic regimes, because we could deal with a monarch.
Right.
You can't deal with a democracy in that way. You can't just steal their oil like that.
Exactly. Let's keep going.
Relationship with them. It's a no.
Megyn, we have relationships with the most savage dictators on the planet, our close allies.
But in this instance,
Saudi Arabia,
we do need
and
to
our
choose.
close allies in Egypt. Okay, but you have Saudi Arabia, Egypt, United Arab Emirates.
Why do we have to choose? I think Greenwald's whole point is, no, we don't have to choose.
Right.
We don't have to
leave.
choose. Leave.
Just leave.
Leave. See what happens. It's not our fucking problem. It's not in our interest. Right? So, like, why? Why do we have to choose?
Qatar, all of which are American allies that are among the most brutal and savage dictatorships in the world. We're fine with having relationships, good relationships and alliances with countries that are extremely repressive, as long as they do the bidding of the United States.
One of the reasons is their hatred of Iran and vice versa. I mean, those two groups are Shiite versus Sunni, and there's a long-standing hatred between them. One of them wants to completely annihilate Israel, and one of them was actually open-minded to doing a deal with Israel and getting to a better place when we were back.
One of them wants to sell Israel their oil.
Okay.
One of them wants to get rich off of Israel because they know they get rich off of us. And so it's a package deal, right?
Okay, so weren't you just saying they stone women, that's the issue?
Yeah, exactly.
All of a sudden, it's not an issue.
No.
So that's only an issue if you don't want to get in bed with Israel. Then then the treatment of women is an issue. And that's basically our foreign policy, right?
Right. Yes, indeed.
Trump, when we were helping making it stronger. And these other allies, Saudi Arabia and the others, were starting to look at it like, you know what, maybe we are going to have to deal with this country. We were moving toward peace.
It's true. The dictators of Egypt and Saudi Arabia and the Gulf state regions understand that there can be economic benefits from a relationship with Israel. They don't represent the people of those countries. These are dictators imposed by military coups that the United States props up. And all I'm saying is we're very tribal as human beings. We always like to see things through the perspective of our side, to believe that we're the morally superior ones, we're the victims, they're the aggressors, they're evil. I understand the appeal of that narrative. But you were just talking about the multiple wars that we fought in the Middle East. We invaded Iraq and destroyed it. That strengthened Iran by strengthening the Shiite militias. Saddam Hussein was a vehement opponent of Iran. We created the vacuum out of which ISIS emerged. Even Tony Blair says that. We were in Afghanistan for 20 years. We've been bombing that region for a long time. I think on some level, we have to take some responsibility for why there's anti-American resentment in that region and ask whether that's worth it.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with you at all on that. And I'm very open-minded to, the growing strain of isolationism, for lack of a better term, in the Republican Party. And, you're not a Republican. But I mean, this country was sort of born into isolationism. That's how we were through the lead up to World War I. We didn't want anything to do with any of this. And we get sucked into these conflicts. And those two, as the T-shirt reads, back-to-back World War champions. And things have gone south for us ever since. Every war we get involved in.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I get it. And so I'm not this bellicose pro-war neocon at all.
No, not at all. I just think, we have to back Israel in their war against Iran, even if that draws the whole world into a third world war.
Because they stone women in Iran, but they do in Saudi Arabia. But Saudi Arabia is willing to do business with Israel, so that's okay. But I'm not wearing a bikini in that part of the world. That's for sure, mister. We did a segment on Jimmy's with Leon Panetta, talking about how the Israelis shoot first and ask questions later, and then saying, and it was an interesting segment to see such a swamp creature as Panetta concede something like that. And he was talking about how, when we go into a place, we really take care not to hit civilians, and we didn't want to let them get away with that. So we showed, 90% civilian casualties on Obama's drone strikes. We certainly are not any better than the Israelis, and maybe that's why we're comfortable being allied with a regime like that.
Yeah, indeed.
Go to anywhere in that region and you ask people why they have there are all kinds of free countries around the world that people in that region don't hate. I said they don't hate South Korea. They don't hate.
They're not the leader
Japan.
of the free world.
Holland.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Oh please,
right?
You can't compare any of those to America. But okay, keep going.
But you're saying that the reason they hate us is because we're free, and I'm saying that a big part of the reason they hate us is because we've been bombing that region for decades. We've been interfering in their government, overthrowing their democratically elected leaders, imposing dictatorships on them.
If we stop tomorrow, they will still bomb us. They will still try to get into the New World Trade Center. They will try to get to Wall Street. They will send ISIS. They will continue coming for us. It's over. There's no mending the fences with the radical Islamists who chant death to America, even if we don't support Israel.
That is just based on absolutely nothing. When she says
not only that, if you didn't interfere in that region in this way, you know what? It's not going to be overnight, but in a generation or two, maybe you don't really have all that many radical Islamists.
Well, yeah, of course. Right. I mean, over time, as has been proven in the past, like I said, we have re-radicalized that region over and over and over again. But she says there, well, you can't compare South Korea to us. You can't compare these free European countries who they don't hate nearly as much to us. Well, in a sense, you are correct, Megyn. You can't compare them to us because they're not the policemen of the world the way we are. So the determinative factor here is not how free a country is, but how much power that country has, and critically, the extent to which that country exerts its power over the Middle East to the detriment of the people of the Middle East. That is what determines the level of animosity that the people in these countries feel towards us. It's not how we live. It's how we interfere with the way they live.
Right.
So obviously. And she pretty much made that point without noticing it. That's just a total lack of curiosity. And it's incredible. I mean, look, I'm glad they were able to do that because that was maybe not a teachable moment for her, but hopefully for some of her audience. And as Sandy, you said in the chat earlier, that is the benefit of Greenwald being such a mensch, that he can go in there and make those points and come away friends and, you know, keep the invite open to go back. Because I mean, if that doesn't expose that gave me flashbacks. That segment gave me PTSD to like the 2004 years where these Bush people are like, oh, if John Kerry wins, they're going to be blowing up. They're going to be blowing up buildings all over the place. There's going to be planes flying into every building in every city. It's like, this is a level of fucking ignorance that I had not experienced in a long time. That brought it all back. That was like arguing with a Bush conservative in 2003. That's what that conversation was.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's a teachable moment for people who think there are no bumps on the road to a red-brown alliance. Because,
yeah, right.
You know, it's easy to forget when they are attacking people that you can't stand.
Right.
Who these people actually are. That's who a lot of these people actually are. Yeah, it might be nice when she goes after George Stephanopoulos, but look what a dingbat she actually is. You know, she's been in this business for a long time. And as somebody who has not been in this business for a long time, I don't know how you could remain that ignorant because research is so much a part of the job. I mean, I guess at Fox, they just hand her shit to read.
Right.
She's probably not doing what we're doing, where you're really deep diving into this stuff. And whatever she absorbed over the course of reading would not have enlightened her on this subject.
Well, yeah, no, and look, like that point is important because, like, I think I captured this when I went to New Hampshire and I was outside of the Trump rally. Like, there were people there who were cool, who talked, who were totally nice. That one guy who I talked to for about 7 or 8 minutes, who was a little more red-pilled. But for every one of those people, you also had the drunk guy in a Lockheed Martin windbreaker who was ready to fucking punch me out because I joked about Trump having syphilis, right? Like, yeah, it's fun to be able to dunk on the libs with them because that's a situation where, okay, enemy of my enemy for the time being, whatever.
Exactly.
But it's not a good scene. Like, it's really not a good scene. like that's not a group of people I am excited to empower, really.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Once you dig into
I don't think they're any worse than the Biden crew on balance, but it's not good. Believe me, not good. Yeah.
Not good. I remember back in the day, and I never did, but when I was thinking about traveling in the Middle East, one of the most common pieces of advice you would get would be to, like, put a Canadian flag on your backpack so they think you're Canadian. So if they hate people for their freedom, why would that be something you'd want to do? Convey that you're Canadian.
Right. That's interesting. Interesting.
Please clap.